We're in the print studio at the Noble Maritime Collection where students make monoprints using these plates and this press. I'm Dawn Daniels, the Director of Programs at the museum, and today we're going to make prints. But you probably don't have a press like this, so I'm going to show you how you can make your own plates out of things that you have laying around the house. We're back in the classroom making a printing plate out of a cardboard box. And the supplies that I'm going to be using to make my print are cardboard and paper. You can use pretty much any kind of paper, paint, and you could use almost any kind of paint for this. Today I'm using monoprint ink, which is really nice for making prints, but really almost any type of paint will do. Glue, either a glue stick or just some school glue. Paint brushes. If you have a roller, that's great. If you don't, it's smashing just to use a paintbrush. So I have my shapes already cut out to make a sailboat scene today, but I have the plate itself. It's just a piece of cardboard, and we've cut out a few little strips just to make a frame. So those are I already glued down. But next I am going to put in my water, and for this we have these nice waves. So this is the larger one, is the bottom wave. So I'm going to take my glue and just glue that down in place. Just a little strip of glue. It's going to go to the bottom. We're going to have a lot of fun once these are in place. We're going to have a lot of fun coloring our printing plate once it is all assembled. And the great thing about this type of a plate is that you can reuse it. And after the waves, now I'm going to put the bottom of the boat and the sail of the boat. So here's the base of the boat is going to be kind of bouncing around right on top of the waves. Right about there. And before your glue dries, you can go ahead and reposition it. This wave is kind of tossing it around. Then I'm going to take the sail, which goes right about there. Glue that into place. I don't use a whole lot of glue for this. I'm just going to make sure that my pieces are adhering to the plate, and then we're good to go. A little bit there. Keep a towel near you so that you could sop up a little bit of this glue if it gets to be too much of it on your fingers, which I have over here. Okay, so now that our pieces are in place, I don't want to forget about my sunshine over here, because we're going to imagine that this is a really nice day. There's a breeze blowing in the background. There's a little bit of a beach over here off on the side. And our sailboat, maybe it even has candy color sails, or it could have solid sails like mine are going to have today. So once you have your pieces in place, you're going to let it dry for a couple of minutes. And then when we come back, we're going to add paint only to the raised areas. It's going to work kind of like a rubber stamp. So you want to think about the raised areas are like hills, and the areas that are flat are like the valleys. And so you're only going to put paint on the hills or the raised areas, because then when your paper goes on top, that is the only place where the paint is going to lift up. So I'm going to let this sit for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to have fun painting it. Glue is all dry, and so I have this nice little plate, and I'm going to make my picture. So I have this roller. I'm only going to use it for the largest thing that's on here, which is my sailboat. So I'm going to dip it into the yellow, because I'm going to just do this really pretty sail. And just adding the paint. If you have a large area on your printing plate, it's a good idea to use a roller. But if you don't have a roller, a paintbrush works. Even better probably for these small areas. So I'm going to add this yellow paint to my sail. And next I'm going to paint my boat. And I think I'm going to paint my boat red today. But you can have fun picking out colors and creating this great picture. I'm going to use blue paper, so it's going to look like a blue sky. And it will also be nice for my water, because in my picture today it's going to be a sunny day, and my water and my sky are going to be nice and blue. So I'm going to go into my red paint and make this really nice little red boat. And then I'm going to go into the orange and make my sun, and into the blue and the green to make the waves. So when you create your own scene, you want to think what time of the day it is, you want to think what season it is. You could do a cloudy day and add like gray and like make gray water. You can add some white into the blue if you want to make it lighter or darker. That's really nice. I'm going to make like a seafoam ocean. So I'm adding a little bit of white to my green paint. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this nice kind of like seafoamy green ocean. And I'll even add a little bit of blue in there as highlight as well. When you create scenes, you always want to think about using your senses. So what would you see and what would you hear? What would you smell if you were actually inside your picture? So in this scene, since it's a sailboat going by, I'm picturing a beautiful sunny day. I'm actually hearing seagulls in the background. I could probably smell the salty sea air. So as you're creating your scene, you really kind of want to think, what would be going on if this were real? If this were a real scene. So I'm going to take a little blue and I'm going to add it into my white as a highlight color for my waves. And then I can kind of just, oh, that's really pretty. It just makes me really feel like I'm outside in this nice, cool sea breeze air. Even put a little bit in there, that. And then I'm going to come back into that green color. I'm not even going to clean off my brush for that, just because these colors are blending very nicely together. And if it looks like it's getting a little bit too dry, just add a little bit more paint. I'm going to add a little bit of green here so that it pops out onto the paper so that it doesn't look too similar to the paper color I'm using today. I'm going to make my frame a complementary color. I'm going to use this nice kind of combination of yellow and gold color to frame out my picture. It reminds me a little bit of like the sand. And it's going to just be a nice frame. You don't have to frame your picture. You could just use the objects and it will work. But if you add a frame, that's going to be just a nice, unique touch to this masterpiece that we're creating today. Okay, I'm going to go back and add just a tiny bit more green to these areas I left out over here. I'm going to let the blue just kind of show through from underneath. I'm going to layer on a little bit more green just because I want it to be a nice bright ocean underneath. Yeah, see, so it's a nice mix of blue and green in there. Okay, I see that my red got a little bit dry, so I'm going to add some of that, and then we're going to test this out on the paper. Just make sure that whatever you painted first didn't dry up. And now I think I have nice wet paint on all of my objects, all of my raised areas. And so now's the time when we're going to test it out and see what kind of a print we made. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it face down on my paper, and I'm going to press down with a book that we've covered in tin foil. Now the reason we've covered it in tin foil is just to protect the book in case there's any little bit of paint that might have escaped from underneath the printing plate. Okay, and when you think that it's ready, you take the book away. And are you ready to see it? Okay, now it's time to flip it over and peel it off. So Give it a good press. It feels like it's nice and wet. So I'm going to go ahead and take the edge and peel. And look at our beautiful picture. That came out great. You see how nice it looks when you put a little frame around it like that? And you can go back and add details if you want. If you wanted to put a mast on your boat, if you wanted to put a couple of little birds flying around in there or something, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm proud of it. I think it came out great. This is a great project for families to do together, parents, teachers. If you want to help the kids cut out the cardboard and then let them paint, that's a really fun way to do it. And then you can just dry this off and just reuse it. So it's nice, and then now you know how to do it. You can think about all different kinds of scenes that you want to make. Instructions and a list of suggested materials are on our website, noblemaritime.org. So check it out and make your own prints. It's a lot of fun. You can use other types of materials too. Once you get this going, you're going to see it's a really fun project to do. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.